probably in the wrong place. That's the curse, is oyster toads. You start catching bluefish, you're fishing too high. Your baits come up a little bit, and that's usually with that. You start using lighter lead, and you can go like that. Another deal we do, we use double rigs. Sometimes we put little doodads on them. This is them. Now we're going to put the lead on the bottom. A little snap swivel. And now we're just going to bob this up and down. Now we're going to have two baits on it, like this. This is a real crowd pleaser because it catches a lot of different kinds of fish. If you got people that are tired of your big flounder talk and you haven't caught any in a while, put something on like this. Put you some smaller baits on there. Even large baits work, and just jig them up and down, and then you'll start catching gray trout, that kind of thing, sea bass. At least you got something. Spanish mackerel bite these things. They can run off a little line. That's when I'll put on when I give in to it. We're not catching any fish. Let's just see if we can catch them. That's what's much nicer about fishing out in the ocean as opposed to fishing inside. If you commit to fishing inside, you pretty much committed to catching an occasional red drum or maybe occasional trout. But the bait you use will usually run those fish off. We'll hold them off. They don't have real big mouths to do their thing. And you pretty much committed that we're going to sit here and do this thing for a while. And I tell you what, they came on whiting rigs, spot rigs type thing, and they're just all they are little tubes. Oh, the knots here, which I noticed the thing. I only know how to tie two knots. Well, I know a lot of variations of a clinch knot. This is the improved clinch knot here, Palomar knot here, and leave it long. Leave your tag in long. Tie another Palomar knot here, clinch knot here. Tie two knots, you can go to work. You can fish and saltwater. Knots are not going to be your problem. Again, the problem I've had with this rig, well, not so much this one. I'll show you another one I've had. Is what we're talking about, double rigs. But this one you can get by with two rigs, and probably what's going to get hung is your lead. So you put the lead on a paper clip, and you're bobbing this thing around. It catches a lot of different kinds of fish, and it will catch flounder. There's no question about that. You sometimes, it's more prominent. I got another one up here. This is a little bit better example of that. The other one is the hangiest rig known to man. Yeah, this is now you got your rig like that. Same old thing. You can put your single there. Now we got two hooks tied together. You can catch them two at a time with this. The only problem in doing that, they'll break the line on the back one if you got them like that. I've had it happen once. I had a 4 on this end, looked to be better than a 6 on this end, and there's nothing I could do about it. But what I do, I try to size this distance here with the size bait, and I like to have wall-to-wall bait. This will be there's two baits there, but those fish are laying. Which proves they're laying close together. I've caught one up here and have one right here too, and then you got a mess. But it's a good mess. You got two fish, and you can't figure out how to get them in the net. But it can be done. You just, with a big net, you can scoop them both and you have two for the price of one. But that is the hangiest thing you'll ever want to fish with right there. But it's like, I think it was Chris Jenkins told me, it's the great thing about being bisexual. It doubled his chances of scoring, so you have two rigs there. I'm pretty sure it was Chris. Sound like you know what I'm saying? Another way of doing it is the dreaded tail hook. Got the tail hook. It's a very unhangy lure. I just resort to this stuff when I can. No longer, particularly like bottom fishing, I can no longer not get hung. And people want to cast and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I put the tail hook on there, and I got the bottom rig there, and we pop that up and down. It's only got one point that I hang up. If you want to put the sinker on a paper clip, it's hard to get this one in real trouble. It's not hard, but it's. When I'm talking about these places that you're going to fish, they're very hangy. They're not just a little bit hangy. They're very hangy. I mean, it's the biggest part of it. It's like crappie fishing. If you have fish in a brush pile, fishing around structure, you're just not there. And I know guys, hell, let's get out of here. All we're doing is getting hung. Well, we can go over here, and all we can do is catch nothing. You know, that's the choice you make. You know, it's what you'll see too, particularly like on a place like Johns Creek, you can see on the bottom, something pops up 3 or 4 feet. Well, that's plenty. That's great. And then you see these places that go 7, 8 feet. That's bait. That's not the, but it'll be a big, I said, my God, it's like the steeples, it's a big thing. No, it's just 3 or 4 feet and it's full of bait. And that's probably a good thing like that. Another thing, if you resort to these other things, you can catch, start bottom fishing. If you go king fishing, bait's too big, or you couldn't throw a net, or don't want to throw a net, you can go to these places and start catching what's on the bottom and use those as bait. Another rig for your anchor dock. Let's take a rig like this. Use a 10-pound test rig. This works better with 10 pounds. Look, now 10 pound will sink a lot better than 12 will. Cast it out and leave it alone. Don't do anything with it. Just let it, all that is. I start out with a swivel, 20 pound, and then go to that's probably got a 1/8 ounce thing on it. Weight on the end of this, it's a jig type thing. It may take this thing 2 or 3 minutes to get to the bottom. Don't worry about that. Just cast it out and let it get to the bottom. And just leave it there. And it's a very good way of doing things. What I've done, I've added a orthodontic braces, rubber band, and you hook it back to the barb. If that glasses, I know that's not happening, but when it's done right, it'll look like this. So now you got this deal down there. It's just laying there, and the manhead can move it anywhere, or the mullet, whatever. And what works good, in my mind, what's good about this? If you get close to structure, the bait's going to swim to the structure. He's not going to swim and be all alone. So that just like when you throw out I dropped a manhead overboard or something. Where does he go? He goes under the boat, because that's the most immediate structure. When he's on the bottom, he's not going to say, I'm looking up 30 feet and go to the boat. He's going to stay right. If you get anywhere close to structure, he's going to run to it, because you can see him swimming over. You can see him swimming it over there. And that, by adding that rubber band, is a good way to slow down some of that getting hung up. You don't do anything with this. Just leave it out there. The current's going to run it. And if the current is not too heavy, he can swim it around. If he starts getting up, the Spanish mackerel will start cutting it off. Or maybe get lucky enough to catch one, and that's not always a bad thing either. But this is a good one. We call it the God Almighty ride. Now, God Almighty is one on this one. You have it up on top or something like that. It's just, it's a very good way of doing it. Now, you fish this in Snow's Cut, impossible. Fish it in the inlet, impossible. What you'll catch on this, and I've tried them, what you catch on this is seagulls. Swim it up, seagulls find it, and there's a seagull bait there. Don't try this in inlets or anything like that. It just won't happen. You talk about drifting. Again, this is going to be our structure, and then we're going to mark this. We're going to come up with our chart recorder. We're going to mark it. Then we're going to add a 3-pound lead to your buoy. It can be a fender. It can be a little orange buoy. If you want company, put one of them orange buoys out there. It's this and you could drop in. It's just some kind of surveyor's cord or something like that. It is important that you don't. This comes in red. It comes in orange, yellow, black. Don't buy the black. What happens on the black? The people don't figure this out. When they get up close, they'll catch your buoy. And the tough thing about it is that buoy will move, and they think they got a fish. I sit there and watch them fight at my buoy. I watch the buoy run, and it's funny to watch. Kids love this. You can roll this line out. You can roll it out on the deck and throw the lead in and throw the duck, and the duck will chase the lead. It's pretty incredible. The kids go crazy over you. Just drop the lead, throw the duck away from it, and the duck runs back over to the lead like he's charging. It's really weird. I learned that by mistake. Like, what the hell was that all about? And that kids like that kind of thing. If you like kids, I can't stand them. Another rig. This is the same thing we just looked at earlier. So this is the plain Jane version of the one. You got 2 hooks. You can put 3 hooks on it. I wouldn't recommend doing this. It gets pretty wild. Particularly if you got him on the top hook, these baits are flying around. It's kind of like that king thing. You got to know where that other hook's at. It gets a little crazy, but you can catch 2 fish at a time on this too. Everybody's got this thing about these flounder that they can't feel the line and all that. That's bull. They will tear this thing up, and they don't worry about that 3 ounces of lead. I think when they get locked in on it, they thrust off the bottom, and they're committed. I don't think they could stop if they wanted to. They'll just, I mean, I brought them in on rigs that are all. This has been rolling around in Snow's Cut, and it looks like a knitting ball. But there's a bait on it, and I'll bring in the flounder. They're still there, and it was a knitting ball on the end of it. They're like the best way I heard it, Bud, they're not bonefish. They're flounder. And it's just, they just go, they don't seem to mind that too much. But the, okay. Oh, here's a very good rig. A Walmart rig, because I buy them at Walmart. These things are double drop rigs. They sell them at Walmart. They sell them everywhere. You've seen these where they swim. They can swim. They had to have a little short blue thing on it, with a snap swivel on it. I replaced that and put 2-foot piece or 18-inch piece like that. Now I got this pinned on the bottom. Now I'm fishing straight up and down. Now this fish can swim round and round. If you control real slow, this is a very good thing. Or anchor, it's got 2 feet. A lot of fish. This draws a lot of attention. This is a very good one. But I buy 2 rigs, cut them in half. Put the this used to be the top. This is the top part. It has a lot of thing for tying your line on, and the bottom you're tying your running line to your rod. And this, then you cut that blue thing off the snap swivel and you replace it with this. So when that thing's literally on the bottom, you can put him in the water beside your boat, and you can see him swim around and around. And now you're covering, 2 times. You're covering a 4-foot circle, and you're not doing anything. It's a very, very good bait. If you've got some lively bait, it's a very good bait. It's a pain in the rear to troll, but if you can troll real slow like that, it's one of the better ones. It's not a bad thing. As far as the rigs go, if we hadn't got something here now that want to catch them, there's a couple more. I forgot about this. You got small bait, cigar minnows, that type thing. Just take this, found these jigs here. But that's got about a 1/2 ounce lead in it. I push it up in there and put the bait in it, and then I wait till I see what my bait looks like, and I may clip it like this, just to make it smaller, and just to give it a little life when you're bouncing around, particularly if he's dead. That works just like it does with the kings. The flounder does not mind that at all. In other words, if you got a bait, you can just look at it right here, or right here. You can fish a bait this small, or you can fish a bait this big. It's a whole different thing when you get out there, and it's a fall on him like that, and it just gives it a little bit more life. Particularly if he's dead, like a dead mullet or something like that. This is very good because you're just hopping him. Like Jimmy Price, hop him up and down, same thing. Except we got meat on ours instead of Hank Brown hookup jig. You can fish like this. Like I say, you can gain weight. Just like Jimmy fishes, you can lose some weight. But he does a different thing. He's got customers. They want to catch some fish. They don't care if they weigh 2 pounds or 3 pounds. If they weigh 3 pounds, they're gonna tell them they weigh 5. But that type thing. But the deal with fishing for large flounder, there are not that many of them out there, particularly in the ocean. The good news, this is all my opinion, what I found to be true. If you're fishing like offshore, you can catch more fish. They tend to be smaller. They tend to get. On my boat, I think about 7.5 pounds is all we've ever pulled off the bottom, which is still a good fish, but then you get lots of 4s and 5s, and that seems to be where they're. Year before last, they were 4.5s, 4 3/4 all over the place. It seemed like the best. Year before last was the best that I'd ever seen. Last year was the worst. Last year proved to me, I don't care who you are or how you fish. If they ain't there, you ain't catching them. Because then the people that are a lot better at this than I am, and they ain't catch them either. And that's we'll see. Like last year we caught one weight. The biggest one I caught was 6.6. Year before it's 14.10. That's quite a drop off. But even worse, the year before 11 citations. Last year 1 citation. That's even more of a drop off. If you're catching 5 or 6 flounder a year that are citations, then you can't complain. You catch one, you can complain.